Welcome to another episode of McKale Madness. Another episode of McKale Madness is here. Happy Christmas Eve to everybody. Just listen, this is a completely discombobulated show to start, just to let you all know, like, we are trying to get this all worked out. We had some technical difficulties leading into this, but that's okay. We're here, we're live, and Corey is here and live. That's the most important part because he's all the way out in Hawaii, Honolulu, Maui. Where are you at, Corey?
Yeah, I'm in Honolulu. It's a lot of sun, a lot of sand, a lot of beach, a lot of bikinis. It's rough out here, bro. I'm
Ah,
trying to
man.
tell you, man. I really wish I was back in, the desert where it's nice and cold and boring. But no, I'm here out here calling basketball games. Desert, Diamond Head Classic, great games, couple overtime thrillers. Could be a good championship on Christmas Day.
Yeah, who's in the championship? I haven't been following along on that one.
It's going to be Nebraska versus Oregon State. Oregon State came back down 11 with like 2 minutes to go. They forced OT and they knocked off Oakland, who is a
Oh,
surprisingly good team. But man, some good games and always fun to be out here. ESPN2 does a great job. And, we try to mix in some fun with the work. So we've been having a good time.
yeah. I mean, listen, it's hard out there in those streets. I can
Yeah.
tell out there
Uh,
in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here in Tucson. Actually, I come to your hood when you leave the city. I'm out here in Tucson, and hey, listen, it's always good to spend time with family, but also, hey, listen, if I had to sacrifice my family for Hawaii, I would do it right now in a second, just so you know. So I'm
hey,
not judging you for your priorities.
it was a tough call. It came down to, what have they done for me? You know, I'm out. Oh, I'm out.
I love it. I love it. Hey, man, listen, we're gonna keep it nice and light and breezy today, and we're gonna recap what just happened this past week with Arizona basketball in their two games against Samford and then Central Michigan, but also we're gonna give a little bit of a preview to TCU and what you can expect with that matchup come next Monday, their first Big 12 at home game, and then we'll do a little bit of a palate cleansing throughout. So it'll be a nice laid back Christmas Eve edition. As always, we appreciate y'all that are joining us in the chat. If you have any comments, please leave them and make sure you give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that very much. And then go subscribe to our podcast as well. The audio only podcast is available to you on any platform that you'd like to listen to us on. And yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Listen, Corey, my first question is I know we've given Caleb Love a little bit of a hard time, but this week, two 20+ point performances against Samford and Central Michigan look like maybe potentially that confidence is starting to come back to a certain degree. Now, the 3-point shooting isn't electric by any means, but it's still better than what it was. 34 minutes, 24 minutes, 23 points, 24 points, 4 assists, 1 assist, and then 3 for 9 from the 3-point line. But I think overall, you're just looking for that swagger to come back. You don't really care how it comes back. You just need it to come back, right? Do you think that Caleb Love is on the up as opposed to just, it doesn't really matter until Big 12 play?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And that's just the hooper in me. Like we had a saying, when I played, show and prove, show and prove. Simple as that. Like, okay, you got buckets against some lesser opponents in your home gym who weren't equipped to make you uncomfortable in the least. They didn't have one player on the perimeter who could make life hard on you. And you proved to be the player that we've known you to be for the last 4 or 5 years. Um, when you face off against a team that is equipped to make you uncomfortable, that is equipped to make you play differently, can you overcome that and still be productive with 20 points a game? That's what everybody wants to see. And this is not to say there's nothing to be said for getting your groove back and seeing the ball go through the hoop. I think psychologically, there's an advantage for him. But for guys like you and me as analysts, nah, that's nice. But TCU, give me those numbers against the Big 12 opponent um, that has perimeter players that are maybe not on your level, but damn sure close.
Yeah. Yeah, no, hey, listen, I totally get you on that one. I kind of skew the same way as well. Like, I think I love the fact that he appeared to be a little bit more confident, but overall, the biggest thing is you got to prove it when the big dogs are here, And TCU is, to me, TCU isn't going to be overwhelming in terms of like their talent, but they can make life difficult. Obviously we've seen that. We've seen that team before, even in the NCAA tournament, and we know what Jamie Dixon's teams are all about. They're hard nosed, they're tough, they get after it, they're physical, and that's what TCU is going to try and do to you. But we'll get to that in the next segment. Overall, what were your impressions? You got to see both of these games live in person, and what was your overall impression? What was your biggest takeaway in these two games?
I sat there and it was hard because I normally go into games with an open mind. I just want to observe and take notes. And I went into the game, saw, and the Wildcat in me just wouldn't allow me to enjoy anything.
Yeah.
I was I was that person that was sitting there already with an attitude, with my arms crossed, like, oh yeah, now you want to dunk. Now you want to shoot threes. I literally had an attitude the whole game. Now I didn't get a chance to watch Central Michigan because I was out here, but I did catch a couple clips and some highlights from that. But the whole time in the Samford game, I'm watching them play, and I mean they're doing all the things that are Arizona basketball standards. They're playing defense, they're blocking shots, they're dunking, they're making threes, they're high fiving, and I don't begrudge the kids for enjoying the game and putting on a good route at home and getting that vibe back. But for what I want for this Wildcat team, where I want this team to go, when I'm looking at teams play and I'm doing other programs and I'm in other gyms and I'm in other practice sessions and I'm hearing and I'm seeing the physicality and the mentality and what's going to be in front of Arizona as the weeks go forward, bruh, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I hate to say it out loud, but literally, that was my vibe. I was like, okay, that's cool. Hooray for you. But that ain't what we need. We need this at Iowa State. We need this against Cincinnati. We need this against West Virginia, Baylor, Kansas. We need this against dudes who are coming to eat the food off your plate. And I know that that's extremely glass half empty. I know that that's pessimistic, but that's how much I love Arizona basketball. Like, I'm not going to pat you on the back for routing Samford and Central Michigan. I do like the fact that it helps these kids' confidence. I do like the fact that they're huddling up and you see the energy because, to be honest with you, there are teams right now in December who are trying to hold it together. The coaches are trying to get the kids to not let go of the rope. They've had a couple of bad losses, and the coaches are worried that they're going to lose the teams mentally for the rest of the season. So I was
Mhm.
glad to see that the spirit and the fight is there. I was happy to see that. But beyond that, yeah, we got bigger fish to fry than Sanford and Central Michigan.
No, I totally agree. I think my biggest takeaway was, they got some dubs under their belt. They're on the cusp of, getting their confidence, back, and you got to start somewhere, right? And I don't think it's really going to matter until they get a win over a Power Four opponent. And listen, I think a lot of this that the process of by which we're going about this season is, you come in as a top 10 team, you falter, you fall apart, you're out of the top 25, and you're in this mode where you're just trying to find yourself. And that's the biggest thing for.
Yeah, I think we just lost Saul there for a second, but yeah, no,
Yeah, you
Corey, you were
might.
talking about your takeaways from this team, and like it's like what have you're saying this for your family, right? But like, what have they done for me, right? Like
Yeah.
Arizona basketball is your family, and like, what have they done for you recently? Like being Sanford and Central Michigan doesn't do a whole lot for me, right?
No, and that's the thing. It's like you want to see a good trajectory and you want to see improvement and you want things that you think you can build on. I don't know that you can build on anything or take anything from these games other than the fact that guys got out there, got after it, and played well. I think as an Arizona fan, if you go back and watch the final 5 minutes of all of their losses, most Arizona fans, there he is, technical genius Saul, who cut his own throat, kicked himself off the podcast, gave me the show for 5 minutes. Ratings went through the roof while you were gone, Saul. I just want you to know. Me and Kev had it popping. We were the number one show in the country for about 35 seconds right there.
That's my fault, man. I was in the
No.
comments. I was trying to chat with Kevin behind the scenes, and I hit close instead of X. Oh, yeah, that was my
Hey,
bad.
so if you watch the last 5 minutes of all the Arizona losses, the average Wildcat fan is going to want to punch themselves in the stomach. It's just hard to watch. That's where our season has been. Those closing minutes of tough games. We've not gotten over the hump. You're not going to win all of those. But I think most fans feel like we should win 3 out of 4 of those for sure. We
Yeah.
should be at a point where we know how to close those nip tough games. So until we're in that situation and we win, I think a lot of fans are going to still be on the fence about this Arizona team. Can we win the close games? Can we make the plays down the stretch? Can we hold the lead? Can we come back from a deficit, which we couldn't do against Wisconsin? So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of question marks still on the table. Yeah, those opportunities slip through our fingers, and TCU at home, I don't think TCU is going to run away with the game. And I definitely don't think Arizona is going to run away with the game. So we'll be there again, December 30th, sometime with 5 or 6 minutes remaining. And it'll be a fist fight. And Arizona's going to have to show that they can win that type of game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, one of the things that I am encouraged about is you got to start somewhere in terms of building up your confidence. And I do think that this little 2 game run is the first step of many that they're going to need to really build that confidence to get to a higher level. And I was encouraged by the defensive performance against Central Michigan. Now, Central Michigan couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. Don't get me wrong; they're just not that high caliber of a team. But you can't discredit the fact that Arizona only gave up 41 points. However, it went down. 41 points is still significant against a Division One team. Like, I don't care what level Division One or what conference they come out of. Like, the fact that Arizona was able to keep them at bay like that, I thought was it was good defensively, and that's something that you're going to have to see moving forward. Because defense, to me, is what this team's identity is going to have to be. Because I think one thing that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, what is Arizona going to be best at as fast as possible? Is it going to be defense or is it going to be offense? Well, I'm sorry, but shooting abilities, like you either have it or you don't. And to develop that confidence over the course of a season can be a chore. I think defensively, they can find themselves a lot faster than they can offensively. And I think at this point, you've got to really lock in defensively to stay in these ball games and keep these games as low as possible. And I don't think Arizona is really played terribly defensively. I think that they've had too many lapses at the 3-point line through the course of the season, and that's something that you don't want to see moving forward. But I think defensively is where they're going to have to really hang their hat because they got some good defenders across the board. They got good defenders. Can they consistently do it day in, day out, and hold each other accountable in the Big 12? And that remains to be seen. And so I'm not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic. I'm kind of 50-50 right now with this team to see where they're going to go. I need to see them get some big time dubs. And they are going to have some quick opportunities to do that. As you mentioned, after TCU, they go on the road and they go to Cincinnati and then they go to West Virginia. 2 games against some quality opponents. Cincinnati's no joke. They're the 17th ranked team in the country, 1 loss on the season. They are a grind of a team. And then West Virginia, as we all know, we saw them in the Bahamas. We got to go to their house and by God, West Virginia, and take them on. So it's going to be, you're going to know real quick, like, okay, are we about this or are we not about this? Because going on the road in the Big 12 is probably one of the hardest things to do in the country. And this team is going to have their opportunities to be able to right the ship real quick. Or will the wheels fall off? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you making a lot of great points there. That's going to be the gauntlet for Arizona. They're going to come out on the other side of that, either trending up or people talking about this season is already toast. If there's an 0-3 situation, you're going to have a lot of people jumping off the bandwagon, jumping off the ship.
Yeah.
And, that's just the nature of sports. But I'll say this, and I don't have the stats to back this up. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that I'm right, and I'm willing to bet all Saul's money on it.
Of course, of course.
In the games that Arizona has shot the ball well, those are the games that they've won against lesser competition.
Mhm.
And those are the games when the big man played well, plain and simple. Look at the stat lines from Arizona's big, and I'm going to be so disrespectful right now, but look at the stat lines against the nobodies and then look at their stats against the somebodies. And then look at the 3-point shooting against the nobodies. It's all connected. When
Yeah.
you have an inside presence, the penetration kick, the double team swing, that's when the 3-point shooting picks up when your bigs are being effective. We talked about this on our very first show, and it hasn't really changed. People think about shooting in terms of just a standalone thing that you either do or you don't do. No, shooting is always tied to your big man. And Arizona has shot the ball well when their bigs show up and get dunked and cause a situation in which guys have to leave shooters. If they
Yeah.
don't ever have to leave the shooters, which is going to be the challenge, like you said, for the TCUs, the West Virginias, and the Cincinnati's, do we have big men that command the presence?
No.
And it's going to be, they're going to have to find a way to be respected. Our
Yeah.
bigs, our front line, and that's the true test. And I'm
I
gonna
thought
throw
you were
something
asking me
out.
a question, so that's
No,
my
I
bad.
was no, it's I was kind of throwing out a rhetorical, but then now we're really going to get into the Dr. Dub prognosis. We'll go as far as our big men take us.
Okay. All right.
And I know people don't like to hear that because people, oh, KJ and Jaden and Caleb, yeah. If we don't get damn near double production out of Toby, Awaka, and Clevis, and either one of them has to be a double guy. And I know that sounds strange, but man, Clevis is 7 feet tall. How could you not get 10 points and 10 rebounds?
That's if he
You're
comes
gonna
back.
if he comes back. True.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you're looking at a situation with Awaka and really Basar. Can those guys give you a double double? And moving forward, I don't know. I was encouraged by Basar's performance against UCLA. I think there were some positives that you can take out of that game in terms of his ability and his
Mhm.
physicality. I didn't think he cowered down in that moment against UCLA, who's a physically strong team. So I was encouraged by that, and I hope that that's
Mhm.
something that he'll carry forward into the Big 12. Awaka, he's played in the SEC. He's a tough kid. He's going to bring it, mentally and physically. It's just, will his abilities limit him at key points of games, and will he be able to stay on the floor enough to make enough impact? As we saw against UCLA again, UCLA to me is the closest team coming out of the pack to what is going to be representative of the Big 12 in terms of physicality that the Wildcats will face. And in my opinion, Awaka was good, but he wasn't able to stay on the floor long enough, and he didn't get a lot of
Right.
minutes, which I was a little surprised about, especially down the stretch. So we'll see. Hopefully, it all works out. One of the and we're going to get to TCU here in a second, but first, let's get to this. That's an ad transition, baby. And one of the things that you may or may not know about me is I'm a Kansas State alum as well. I went there for a year and I worked in the athletic department. Really great folks out in Manhattan, Kansas, and those folks are coming to our city up in Phoenix. They're going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and they're taking on Rutgers this week, and you're going to want to get your tickets. It's the day after Christmas. Get your tickets right now. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl live in downtown Phoenix, K-State versus Rutgers, and it's at Chase Field. So if you've never seen a ball game at a ballpark, well, now's your opportunity because you'll be able to go inside that baseball stadium and take a look at this game. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl, I know the people that run that, they do a fantastic job. They put everything together, and you can get your tickets for a pretty good price, especially if you want to take your whole family out just to enjoy a ball game. And listen, during the holiday season, especially when you're around family for a week or so, sometimes you just need a reason to get out of the house, just to kind of get a little distance from everybody. And this is a great opportunity. So why don't you do that? Go to get game tickets, premium experiences, and reserved parking. They're all available. Get yours at ratebowl.com. And in addition to that, obviously, you all know about the ASU Sun Devils reaching the college football playoff. We're not going to talk anything else about that. But what I will say is there is an event for that game, if you want to go and watch Texas absolutely mollywop ASU, I would encourage you to do that. And the best way for you to do that is go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Go to one of our watch parties. Gila River Resorts and Casinos is where it's at. It's one of the best resorts in the country. You can't go wrong. Premium experiences, premium gaming, the food, the beverage, the dining, the resort itself, the golf, the spas. I mean, what else can you say? It's just the top of the notch level of entertainment, and you can treat yourself by going to GilaRiver.com, resorts and casinos. And the biggest thing about Gila River is that they're going to take care of you. They're going to hook you up. They're going to make sure that your customer service satisfaction is always at the top. So you do you at Gila Rivers Resorts and Casinos. Play at Gila.com for more details. All right. So TCU. All right. Listen, TCU is a good team. They've had a couple, kind of, I wouldn't say mysterious losses, but they've been upset a couple times. And Jamie Dixon has always done a good job of teaching physicality, defense. We've seen that in the past. We continue to see that. He knows what the identity of his program is. And they got somebody that we are very familiar with here in Arizona, as we've played against ASU multiple times, and Frankie Collins. Frankie Collins is kind of the head of the snake for TCU. He's averaging 11, 4, and 4. And also, additionally, he's averaging just about 2 steals a game. Frankie, to me, when you think about Frankie Collins, and if you've ever watched him, first of all, Corey, I don't know if you've ever played with guys like that. Who he reminds me of, and this is no disrespect, but their herky-jerky nature, the unpredictability, the inconsistency shooting, just the kind of all over the place kind of feel of Frankie Collins is kind of mirrors, like, remember Chris Rogers from back in the day?
Yeah,
Like Chris Rogers was
that's a
kind
good.
of like helter skelter. Like sometimes he had good games, sometimes he had bad games, and you just didn't. He was like a box of chocolates, literally. You just never knew
Yep.
what you're going to get from game in, game out. And but he plays with a lot of tenacity. He plays with some fierceness, and so he's going to get after it defensively, especially. Frankie Collins is going to get after it. You got to take care of the ball around TCU, and especially Frankie Collins. And when I watch TCU, I think that's the point where you got to start, even though from top to bottom, they don't have anybody that really stands out, like in terms of all world kind of athlete.
Well, no, they don't. And there's a couple of things. First, we'll start off with Frankie Collins. Very familiar with Frankie Collins' game. Did a lot of coverage. Covered him a lot at ASU, and I can tell you, there were multiple evenings in which the game was close with 3 minutes to go, and I literally sat there and watched Bobby Hurley do this while Frankie Collins went out there and won the game. He won the game by getting a steal, then passing it up for a layup. He crossover pull up three, get to the free throw line, penetrate, drop it off to the big man. Frankie Collins is a closer. He knows exactly what to do in big moments. I've seen him win games for ASU that they shouldn't have won, but because Frankie Collins was on the court in the final 3 minutes of the game, I would turn to my broadcast partner and say, it's Frankie Collins time. And a guy who had like 8 points and 3 assists over 25, 30 minutes, where all of a sudden scored the final 6 points, had 2 rebounds and assists, and ASU would sneak out with a win that they had no business getting at Stanford or at Cal or against Washington, because Frankie can turn it on from the point guard position. So as an Arizona fan, I don't want this thing close in the final minute because I know what Frankie Collins is going to do. I don't want to see Frankie Collins have the ball in his hand because you're not going to rip it from him and
No.
you're not going to keep him out the lane. And no one, and this applies to all college basketball players, you can't do anything about a dribble step back three. And Frankie
Yeah.
Collins has a dribble step back three. How you can't defend it? So the key for Arizona is to stay out of that danger zone, get to a lead, and be comfortable going into the final 3.5, 4 minutes. Because if it's point guard versus point guard down the stretch, I don't know if we're doing ball up top. Man, give me Frankie Collins, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna hold you. Frankie Collins is that dude. Go back and watch his game. Frankie Collins will close you out. Now that's just at that position. Frankie Collins is that guy. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he plays horrible against us, and I hope we win. But I've seen too many people shaking hands after the game, like, damn, Frankie, yeah, Frankie got you. You were supposed to win tonight, but you let around, you messed around and let it be close. And Frankie made 3 plays. And he's that dude who has nothing to lose. He's a pinball. He's bounced around. And that's just his game. Now, TCU as a whole.
Whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. Wait. No. Hold up. There's there's no way. Listen. You think that down the stretch, if the game is close, like Frankie Collins will get you. I think down the stretch, if the game is close, Frankie Collins is going to get his own team. I just do not believe in Frankie
Okay.
Collins as a closer at all, whatsoever. Like,
Great.
I've seen him too many times at ASU just disappear in the keyest of moments. Like, I can't even believe you just said that out loud.
I will go back and pull the games that I did, and I will show you the Frankie Collins heroics. I will show you the flexes on the baseline. I will show you Jose Perez and those guys running over to him. I will show you Bobby Hurley sitting there smiling because he just stole a game because Frankie put on the cape and saved them. I remember 2 or 3 games like that last year. That Frankie was just doing his thing. But that's beside the point. Here's the other point. When you play Jamie Dixon, he's one of the coaches in the country, what I like to call option two, second option coaches.
Mm.
You are already on your second option. He is not going to let you do option one. It don't matter who's on his team. Kelvin Sampson's the same way. Mark Few's the same way. They're too good for you to just come play them and do your thing. You're going to do thing number two. So what's Arizona's thing number two, Saul? It ain't going to
Well,
be Caleb. You see? Now
no,
we're talking about
it's got to be down to the bigs. It should be down to the bigs, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
so what's been Arizona's most successful offensive option? What's been Arizona's most productive offensive set thing that they've done? Well, let's be honest. It's been Jaden Bradley, ball in hand, downhill off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get that against TCU. And Arizona fans might as well get that in their head right now. Every time Jaden Bradley gets the ball screen out top, Jamie Dixon will trap the hell out of him, and he's going to have to give it up. And from then, what are we doing? Because if we're doing something smart and we're penetrating and getting dunks or threes off that double team, great. But if we're playing like trash out that double team, that's an option two coach. That's what good coaches do. They move you to option two. Arizona fans need to expect for them to try to cut the head off of our snake in that game. I'll be doing that game. I'll be
Right.
at shoot around. I can't divulge what I see at shoot around, but I already know what I'm going to see at TCU shoot around. It's going to be some form of how do we keep Jaden Bradley out the lane? When Arizona wins, Jaden Bradley's in the lane. Hell, Jaden Bradley's been in the lane in the games that Arizona's lost. He was the only bright, shining star in the UCLA game, getting down the lane for those one-handed layups.
Yeah.
They'll jump that screen and they'll dare the bigs to do something with the ball. They're not going to come off of Caleb in the corner. They'll stick in his jersey. So when I say there he's an option two coach, that's what I mean. He's going to make Arizona play to a second option. And we have to be prepared for that. And this might be a game where Del Orso's the hero with 5 made threes.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to roll with that. Like, yo, can this guy beat us? Because we know Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love can beat us. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But can this guy beat us? And
Yeah.
and my time 30 years ago in Arizona, I was that guy. Well, we'll let Corey shoot. Okay, Corey, thank you. I was waiting to shoot. I couldn't wait. But those are my thoughts on TCU. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. But we will definitely see, and I'm excited to be courtside. I think it's going to be a huge environment with the energy. Big 12 opener. It's going to be great.
Last year, TCU was one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. They still attack the glass, but they're not as prolific as they were a year ago. And I think defensively, their identity is where they hang their hat. It's just they're going to get after you defensively. They're going to try to make you uncomfortable. Listen, Arizona at home should be able to handle TCU because man for man, from top to bottom, Arizona should win this game. This is a winnable game. And again, to your point, Corey, this is one of those games you cannot afford to F around and find out. Like, you have to take care of business. You got to come out, set the tone, make them uncomfortable, and then make them have to play a style that they're not comfortable playing, which is speeding it up, trying to get out and run, trying to shoot more threes. Like, they're just they need to make TCU feel uncomfortable as opposed to the other way around. And I think what I would like to see from Arizona is Arizona dictating their pace and dictating their style to the opposition more than what has been happening in basically the 5 Power 4 games that they've had. I feel like they've been dictated to instead of being the aggressor, and that's got to change as you move forward. So that's my key thing. It's not even about what TCU does. To me, this is coach speak, right? It doesn't matter what they do. If we do what we're supposed to do, then we will win this game. But we got to play Arizona basketball. If we don't play Arizona basketball, it doesn't matter what kind of brand of basketball we're going to play. We're going to be in for a rough night. It doesn't matter who we play either. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. And listen, there's one key guy. You just mentioned ADO, which I think is a great point. Like, I think that through the course of the season, you're going to see ADO have moments where he's going to be able to contribute at a high level. I don't think he's somebody that you can rely on game after game, because I think defensively sometimes they're going to attack him, and that can put him in some precarious positions and limit his playing time. But on the other side, Brendan Wenzel for TCU, he's one of their best 3-point shooters. He's averaging, I think, like 40%, 45% from 3 right now. Like, he's kind of their version of ADO, right? I could see in a scenario where if you do not handle business and it's a close game down the stretch and this kid is in, he could be their ADO on that side. So those are the two kind of areas I would go to, is just making sure that the game's not close and you dictate what style play you wanna dictate, and then make sure you don't let the unknowns like this guy Brendan Wetzel get shots off to be able to kill you and really hurts your team. So I'm excited to see it. Corey's going to be there. I'm going to be there on Monday night at McKale Center, and it's just going to be a really fun. We're going to get to Tommy Lloyd doing something unusual after this break. All right, folks, listen, I don't know what kind of cell phone service you have, but one of the best cell phone services out there is obviously Verizon. Listen, that 5G coverage is no joke. I have had Verizon in the past. I don't have it right now, unfortunately, but I'm about to move over because, listen, some of the deals that you get with Verizon is fantastic. Like, get a $200 Verizon gift card when you switch to Verizon. That's fantastic. And who couldn't use a little extra cash now during the holidays, especially when you're improving your cell phone service? Verizon is fantastic. Verizon Access gets you into the experiences you love as well. And now Verizon is teaming up with us at PHNX to hook you up with some Suns tickets. Yeah, I know. The Suns have been struggling. They're 14-14 this year. But that doesn't mean that the season is lost. It also doesn't mean that you need to cost yourself an opportunity to go see Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and that whole crew play ball. Like, listen, if you're a baller, hooper, it doesn't matter what the score is. You love to watch good players play. Kevin Durant, obviously there, along with Devin Booker and company. So make sure you put yourself in for a sweepstakes to win. Go phnx.com/Verizon to get yourself in there today. And again, make sure you do that as soon as possible, because that drawing will be happening soon. And then on top of that, obviously, I just mentioned the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, but the Fiesta Bowl is on its way here, and that's next week as well on New Year's Eve. Boise State, Penn State. It's not SMU, so it's going to be electric. Listen, get yourself an opportunity to watch probably one of the best running backs in the country in Ashton Genty. The kid is phenomenal. Future Cardinal, probably future Cowboy. Who knows? I know everybody's talking about that kind of stuff. Who knows? But we would love to see him on our squads. I know that. But your opportunity to go see two premier teams in the country battle it out to get to the college football playoff semifinal is going to be electric. And it's the day before New Year's, where the other games will be taking place. So make sure you get yourself an opportunity to go to the Fiesta Bowl. You can get yourself premium experiences. You can get yourself like hooked up with parking and tickets. And right now is the best time to do that. So go to the call of action here is you're going to go to fiestabowl.org/tickets to get your stuff and get it today. All right. Corey, you tell me if this has ever happened with you. And Tommy Lloyd decided to give everybody the week off. for Christmas, for the holidays, really. And his message to the team was get away from basketball, get away from this, reset, and come back ready to go, because when you come back ready to go, like, it's on. Like, and so after Christmas, the team will all come back, and it'll be back to normal. But I actually like this, because I think the first 2 months of the season has been a mental grind more than anything else. And I know that these players could use a little bit of time off just to kind of disconnect, to get away and decompress before the madness really, really begins.
I think it's an interesting technique because what you've done is you've placed a physical break in an area where you're trying to place a psychological break. That's over. That's full. We were at one time 4-5. Now we're
5.
6-5. 11 games that we played. It's over. This is the second part of the season. Trying to establish to the guys that you are not that. That doesn't exist anymore. You're not responsible for that. Don't bring that onto the court versus TCU. So when you give guys that situation, say get away from basketball, you're trying to hit the reset button. And it's pretty telling for Tommy Lloyd because you can mess around with the lineup. You can do things with the rotation. You can do things with X's and O's. But it kind of gives you some insight as to him and the staff's feeling about why they are 6-5.
Yeah.
Because it's mental.
Yeah.
They're a mental 6-5. They're not a physical. We got who we got. The big fella's out. Did it cost us against UCLA? Probably. Maybe they win that game if he plays. But it's an acknowledgement from the staff that maybe things are between our own ears. Maybe we need to hit the reset button. We don't have an X's and O's problem. We don't have a Johnny and Joe problem. We got good guys. We got good strategy. We just need to mentally reset, and then we can be about business. And I think it's a good approach. It shows that he's got confidence in his guys. No drastic changes in terms of playing time. And he certainly hasn't scrapped the playbook and put in a whole new offense. What he said is, hey, guys, close that chapter. The most important chapter is about to start. This is what we want. We wanted a Big 12 championship, and against TCU is day one of that journey.
Yeah, no, I think you were spot on with that assessment in terms of their mental fatigue. Their mental fatigue. I think that as you go through this, man, and I don't know, Corey, I don't know at any level, have you ever experienced like maybe long stretches of losing or poor performance to the point where, you start to get inside your own head and you start to question, not only your performance, but also, the performance of others, and, how taxing that can be. Both of my years at South Mountain Community College, we were terrible. We were awful. I think we won like 4 or 5 conference games out of 20. Like, it was terrible. And that was a grind and a half, because you just knew that not everybody was on the same page, and we didn't really have somebody that was able to put everybody on the same page together. And so it was just kind of a discombobulation, if that's even a word. Tommy Lloyd obviously is the guy that's trying to corral everybody and put everything together. So I trust that he's doing that. But I think to get away, sometimes hot teams will go on a break and they'll come back and they got to try and refine it. And sometimes they don't. I think this could be the opposite, where a good team is struggling and they get a break and maybe they come back and they get back into a groove and things are feeling better. And that's at least what I'm hoping for as we move forward. I just, I didn't know if Lute had ever done with that with you guys when you were at the U of A during your time.
Well, I'll provide my insight on this, and you can attest to this because you're a father. You have children in this generation, and you know that this generation is a feel good, play good generation. They need to feel good to play good. You and I are from the generation of win, play good. Win, feel good. That's the only way you felt good is if you won. You never felt good if you lost. Your feeling was based on whether you won or not. So you suffered and you went through a whole bunch so that you could win. And then in the winning, you felt good.
Yeah.
If you suffered and went out and played and lost, It was suffering followed by a bad feeling. And the only time you ever got to feel good is when you posted a W. Those days are over. You and I are a different breed. We are a win, then feel good type of athletes. And that's what drove Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Magic, Bird. They got their good feeling from winning. Well, now the reverse is true. If your kids don't feel good, if they're not in a good mental headspace, they're not going to play good. So the job of therapists and psychiatrists is now part of coaching. You've got to get your guys there mentally, or the performance is you can just write it off. They're
Yeah.
not going to suffer through a whole lot to get the win. They have to start off feeling good to get the optimal performance. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot to sports psychology. There's something to that mentally preparing for sports. But at the end of the day, the cart is now before the horse. They have to feel good initially, then they play good. And to be honest with you, it's kind of strange. They don't take as much joy in winning as we used to.
Mm,
So when you give these guys this mental space to get their mind right so they can play better, it's like, why do I have to do all this mental gymnastics to unlock your talent?
mm.
You should be letting your talent out to get the W. But that's the difference that I see. And I see it with parents with kids that don't play sports. The kid has to be in a good mind space to do their chores, to get good grades, to behave. Like you've got to get them emotionally ready to perform. Where in our age, it's like if you don't perform, you're going to feel like crap until you get a win. And
Yeah.
the longer you lose, the longer you're going to suffer. We don't even care about your mental health while you're losing. We make jokes and memes and write articles, and we make the crowd with taunt losing teams, sports writers with bad losing teams. There's no mercy for people who don't post wins. So psychologically, the only way you could feel good is to go out and get a W. And you wanted to repeat that over and over and over and over. And that's what made Kobe great. He only, when the champagne was popping in the locker room and all the games had been played, then he would decompress and relax. But
Mm,
that was his goal the whole time. He didn't celebrate win 35 in Boston and win 46 in Cleveland. No, he celebrated game seven win, championship. It's over. I won it all. Now I can feel good. But
yeah.
I understand what these coaches are going through with these younger generation of players. And it is interesting because you're right. Giving them a little week off, get away from basketball, reset, feel good so you can play good. Are you okay? You need some cookies and milk. You want me to rub your belly? You want me to rub your shoulder? What do you need? We got to beat TCU. How can I help you beat TCU? Because I need you to beat TCU. Maybe you and I should show up early at the game with some Cinnabons, you know, some ice cold lemonade. Just do what we can as Wildcat Nation. Help these guys feel good.
Hey, whatever they need for the squad. If we need if it'll result in a dub, I'll do it. Let's do it. So
I hear you. I hear you.
that's funny. Yeah, all right. Before we wrap up the show, we got a quick thing to tell you about. Corey, it's been a long time since we've had a parade in Tucson. But you can go to the Fiesta Bowl parade if that makes you feel any better up in Phoenix. The Fiesta Bowl parade is doing their 53rd annual Fiesta Bowl parade presented by Lerner and Rowe. And listen, it's a free event for the public. If you've never been to a parade, especially the younger generation, I don't know how much of the younger generation actually goes out to a parade or even knows that it exists, but it's pretty cool. Like to be honest with you, like you have all these bands, you have all the floats, and like people put so much energy and effort into that stuff, and it's pretty cool to see it all roll by. If you've never been a part of it, you should definitely go. I've been to the Fiesta Bowl parade. It's been about 35 years since I've been to one, but I used to go when I was a kid. My mom used to take me, and it was really cool just to see the pageantry of everything. And it really gives you a sense of a feel of like the game is more than just the game, right? Like it's an experience, it's a fan event, it's a community event, and I think it's really cool. So December 28th, this Saturday, is the Fiesta Bowl parade. You should go check it out, or you can watch it on TV on Arizona's Family 3. So it's available for you. It starts at 10 a.m. and it all happens live. For more information, go to fiestabowl.org/parade to enjoy. And then on top of that, listen, if you've never had solid flooring. Well, folks, today I'm going to give you the deal of a lifetime because Empire Flooring is fantastic. They've actually they put in our new studio flooring over at PHNX. I say new, when I was there, they put in studio flooring and it was fantastic. It's really long lasting. There's warranties that go along with it. They will come into your house. They will design exactly what you want. They will give you all your options from, most expensive to least expensive and everything in between. And they have every single type of flooring you could possibly imagine. And they want to take care of you. Their customer service is second to none. Even us, when they came into our building, they asked so many good questions about, what do you use this flooring for? Where's the most traffic in the house or in the studio in terms of this flooring? Like how would you like it laid out? Do you want herringbone style? Do you want just a normal style? Do you want it horizontal, vertical? What do you want? Like, these are things that not every floor brand will ask you. They will take care of you. And for right now, you can actually schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for more details. All right. Listen, I seen it in the chat already, and I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. But first, I want to say thank you to everybody that is here watching this live. I really do appreciate all the likes and everything. One of the things that I want to address is, and because we haven't had an opportunity to do this, listen, as you guys know, we made some changes this past week with the Wildcat Show. The Wildcat Show is coming back. And that will be formally announced at a later point. So, it's not in my purview to talk about that stuff. But what I will say is this: Mike Luke was the host of the Wildcats pod, and on a personal note, I just think the world of Mike Luke. I think one of the things that he has done is he has rallied this community and definitely made people feel like they wanted to embrace that pod and that group, and it's unfortunate to see him go. I encourage you all to subscribe to his podcast when it does launch. As Corey is meeting another fan, I encourage you to subscribe to him and Shear's new pod. I think it's called the AZ12. Listen, he does great work. Really, I'm always going to support him. I just, he did a great job while he was here, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. And listen, I think it's sometimes a change is good, sometimes a change is bad, and I think for Mike, I think this is an opportunity for him to really cut loose and really, be who he is. And listen, under the realm of what we do, sometimes there's constraints that we just can't get around. And when you're doing your own thing, you have no constraints. And I think Mike Luke unrestrained is the best version of Mike Luke. If you guys
I
know
think
that.
you just might have named this podcast Mike Luke
Unrestrained.
Unrestrained. I like that. Unrestrained.
So we're always going to be supporters of his Corey and I will be, and we wish him nothing but the best of luck moving forward. And again, all of you in the chat, I really do appreciate it. I think there was somebody earlier in the chat asking, so we're just not going to talk about football anymore. No, that is coming back. Erica is in the chat. Kev's in the chat, obviously our producer, GM Ben. We really do appreciate all the love and support as we've launched this particular podcast, a once a week podcast, just covering men's basketball. That's all. And then at the end of this season, we're gonna, Corey and I will regroup and see what we want to do after this, and if we want to keep it going through the off season, or if we want to do something different, or what. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But we want to be here for you guys, and we encourage you to continue to tune in. We would really appreciate it. Listen, Wildcats. I think for the longest time in U of A, in Tucson, especially in the U of A realm, we didn't really have a lot of podcasts that were dedicated to just U of A, right? And then we did this 3 years ago, and Mike took the helm of that, and he built this community, which is great. And now we're going to take that community, and hopefully we get to add a little bit more to it. We're going to give a different perspective to it to a certain degree. And then you and I, we do our once a week thing, and we add a little bit more to it. And I think I think now with our two pods, and then heck, even with what Mike's new venture is going to be, I don't think you can ever have too many pods that are talking about your favorite team, and I think that's a good thing. And I've never viewed any of this as competition. I've always thought we're just adding more pieces to the puzzle for the community to really rally around this one team that we can all agree on, we all love as a unit. And so, like I said, my best to Mike. I really wish him well on his next venture. Corey, you didn't really know Mike too much, but in terms of the space and the pod space, like, hey, I think what we're doing is pretty cool, and I think it's pretty cool to build this community up the way we're trying to build it.
No, Mike was an absolute stud. Followed him on Twitter and, you know, always looked at his content. He makes a lot of great analysis and points and, truly, like you said, a pioneer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Corey, what are your plans for the rest of your holiday, your holiday break? What you got going on for the rest of the week? You got a couple more games, yeah?
To the pool.
Okay.
Gonna hit the pool, gonna hit the beach today. We're off today. Championships and fifth and seventh place games tomorrow. So we've got two games early tomorrow morning, Christmas Day, but I'm gonna spend Christmas Eve just walking around shopping, eating, chilling, not doing much of anything. Finally got a day off after two straight days, 4 games in 2 days. So just looking forward to hanging out. I just had to say hello to my buddy, Coach Wayne Tinkle from Oregon State, one of my favorite coaches. He's a great guy. But yeah, just gonna try to take in the island a little bit today and not do anything. And
Was
I'm voting it if we do choose to keep the show in season 2, that we move it to Hawaii so we could do it from here. Get the budget together so we can move the show to Hawaii.
Well, I mean, listen, we're always open to any paid travel sponsorships here on the show. So if
So
anybody out there wants to do
Hawaiian
that.
Airlines, I'm in talks with them right now. I'm in talks with Hawaiian Airlines right now. I want to do a podcast.
Yeah, I'm on board. No, listen, this has been fun. I'm really excited about what the future lies, and like I said, more info to come on the Wildcat Show itself. Corey, do you have any holiday experiences during your 4 years at U of A with Coach O, or a game or a moment or anything like that you can recollect?
Tons of holiday experiences. The Valley National Bank holiday tournament was always,
Oh
we in
yeah.
my freshman year, we used to bring in 3 teams and they were just lambs to the slaughter. We beat up on them. My sophomore year, we brought in Michigan minus Chris Webber, and we beat them by 40 from McKale Center. And I just remember the holiday season was always the conclusion of the non-conference.
Hmm.
And Arizona are 10-1, 9-2, undefeated. We were always some lofty thing. And that's when the world came crashing down because we were about to roll into Pac-10 play. And Luke did not play about his conference title. He wanted it and he needed it. And the rotation went from 9 to 7, and you were either on board leaving the train station or you was left at the dock because once Pac-10 started, he knew what he had. You had 10 games to audition for that man, and either you were in the rotation or you weren't. And I still see some of the OG coaches. It's one of my favorite questions to ask this time of year. Do you know what you have? This conference play is right around the corner. And a lot of coaches are like, nah, I'm still tweaking. I'm still looking for my lineup, my rotation. And some coaches are like, yeah, I know what I got. And it's the chips are down. I can't afford to try to bring a kid along in game 11 or 12. I need to start getting these conference wins because we want to get a at-large bid, or we're projected to win the conference. So my memories from Coach O, the first 2 years being outside that rotation bubble, kind of like, well, that's it for me. There goes my playing time. I might as well just get used to sitting on the bench because now we're in conference play and I'm not getting into the end of blowouts. Or, sophomore, junior, and senior year, it was kind of like, all right, here we go. Money time. Every time I play well, I get more and more playing time. I get more and more experience. So the holiday season was always nut cutting time at Arizona. It's when the program got serious. It's when minutes got tight. It's when film session got intense. It's when practice got intense. um, you could lose your starting spot over a bad conference game performance. So the holidays was kind of that stretch and the crack of the knuckles, and you know how that box was in the corner and getting loose right before the bell rings. That's the vibe in Arizona basketball during the holidays because at no point has Arizona basketball not been expected to win the conference that they were playing in. And I think this year in the Big 12 is the first year where people just like don't expect Arizona to win it. I think they say Kansas is going to win it. But we were always one of the favorites to compete for the Pac-10 and the Pac-12 title. So,
Yeah.
hey, let's rear up, let's roll up our sleeves and get ready to go.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Comment in the chat, Tom Lemke said, Corey and Saul, Kevin seems to be up for Hawaii. Oh no, for sure. Like Kevin's our producer, so if we went to Hawaii, he's coming along with us. I promise you. And June, maybe you can come along with him. That's Mama Thomas right there. So that'd be fun. My favorite recollection, and this is mostly because obviously the U of A is down in Tucson. I'm here in Tucson. It brings back really good memories because I used to play in the McClintock Holiday Tournament out here in Arizona. And that's my favorite tournament. And to this day, it still runs. They're off on Christmas Day, but they play before and after. And you get to see some really good high school basketball teams. And my senior year, we played against South Point in the semifinals. And it was the only time in my career that I had a triple-double. And we absolutely mollywopped them. We just dusted them. I think we won by like 20, 30 points. And it was probably one of the best games of my career. And so like, that's what I always think about when I think about hoops and holidays. And so I just wanted to say that out there in case there was any South Point alums that just felt like they wanted to have a little coal in their stocking today. So there you go. I love you all. I'm kidding, obviously, but again, we hope you guys all have a safe holiday season tonight, tomorrow, Christmas Eve, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. We hope you all have a very happy holiday. We do appreciate you all subscribing to the podcast. Make sure you follow my guy at College Corey on Twitter and on Instagram. Make sure you follow me at Saul_Bookman, and make sure you follow the show at PHNX_Wildcats, and follow my man Kev. I think it's Kev Tom Wrights. Is that what it is, Kev?
It's actually Kevo Post now. I simplified.
Oh, we changed it at Kevo Post now. He's hey, listen, Kevin's getting a little big time. And so and I know some of you guys are clamoring for Kev to get a little bit more shine. I don't know, maybe that's coming. We'll see. That's what we call a teaser. So like I said, I appreciate you all for joining us. And until next time, that is the McKale Madness podcast. Leave a like, leave a review, and subscribe today. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.